A group of friends are having dinner together. Suddenly, a woman's phone rings. She answers.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's no Rose here.
Hearing her response, the man's face changes instantly. As a top-level operative, Wax reacts without hesitation. The woman collapses in her chair.
What the f***, Wax?
Wax immediately points his gun at his partner, Reese's fiancée, Caroline. Reese lunges and tries to protect her.
Oh, I don't believe you! You got the wrong girl!
Wax stops him,
Rose was a code word. Nicole's number's on every Pakistani cell phone that we found.
stating that Rose is an alias, a code name used by a known terror cell operative. As one of her close friends, Caroline can't be innocent. To prove himself right, Wax begins searching the apartment. He pries open a table lamp and finds a listening device taped inside. Reese refuses to believe it.
What the hell are you talking about?
Wax tells him to hand over anything Caroline has given him. Reese, still confused, pulls out the engagement ring she gave him.
Don't, please.
Caroline, in tears, begs her boyfriend to trust her. Wax points out that if the ring carries a transmitter, it would cause interference with the speakers.
There's a transmission in the ring, it'll interfere with the stereo. See that?
Faced with the truth, Reese turns on his fiancée in despair. Caroline stumbles back, tears falling, but her hand slips under the table. Bullets rip through the room. Reese takes a hit in the shoulder. Caroline dives through the window. Wax bolts after her down the stairs across the street, but she still manages to leap into a waiting getaway car. Later, a CIA forensics team sweeps Reese's apartment. They find 17 listening devices and 5 hidden cameras. The entire place had been under surveillance.
Nah, you're just in love, man.
Reese cannot understand why his identity is worth so much attention. Just weeks ago, he was a personal aide to the US ambassador in France. His side job is as a low-level operative for the CIA, but he can't even handle the basics of espionage. At a meeting, he tries to plant a bug using a stick of chewing gum, failing again and again. Most of his assignments are trivial, swapping out license plates or managing security for the ambassador. He only ever watches from the sidelines when real field agents slip in to make use of the logistics he sets up. But everything changes on this day. Dragging himself home, exhausted, Reese finds Caroline waiting with a surprise. She slips her late father's ring into his hand and proposes to him.
If I waited for you to ask, it would never happen.
Without hesitation, Reese says yes. But the moment breaks as Reese's phone vibrates. Urgent orders pull him away.
Your partner is being held by the French customs. I need you to get him out of there.
Charlie Wax, a legendary CIA field agent, is being held at French customs. Reese, assigned as Wax's temporary partner, must get to the airport immediately to resolve the situation. Success means promotion to full field operative, his long-awaited entry into special operations. Reese hides the call's true nature from Caroline, promises to return soon. At customs, Wax is locked in a shouting match with French officers over a bag filled with cans of energy drink.
You don't serve energy drinks in Paris? It's for working out.
France's ban on such products has stopped him cold, and his explosive temper is escalating the standoff.
It will never enter France, okay?
Well, how am I supposed to have the energy to enjoy the endless pleasures of your fine city?
Reese steps in. Urged by Wax, he flashes his diplomatic credentials and slaps a diplomatic mail tag on the case. Bound by protocol, the officers reluctantly release the bag.
Checkmate!
In the car, Wax cracks open a can. Instead of liquid, gun parts spill out. He assembles a custom Sig Sauer pistol with practiced speed and tells Reese to head for a Chinese restaurant. At the restaurant, Wax takes one bite of his food and pushes it aside in disgust. Reese tells him it's not real Chinese, just Americanized.
It was invented by a Jewish guy in San Francisco.
But Wax doesn't care. He snaps his fingers, asks the waiter what's in the dish. Without warning, he slams the waiter's head onto the table, asking him about the contraband.
I'm more in the mood for something you sniff off a spoon, something you buy by the kilo.
Suddenly, gunfire erupts from across the room. Waiters pull weapons and start firing. Wax grabs the waiter as a human shield and pulls out his gun. He returns fire with lethal precision, dropping enemies one by one. Within seconds, the chaos dies down. Reese is still confused. Wax confronts the waiter, pressing a gun to his cheek and demanding answers.
Where's the blow? No blow.
The waiter insists he doesn't know but glances toward the ceiling. Wax fires several shots upward. White powder rains down, revealing the building as a drug trafficking hub. Wax tells Reese to empty a nearby vase and fill it with the powder. He grabs the waiter, tells him to deliver a message.
I didn't kill you because I got a message for him. Wax on, wax off.
They get in the car. Wax speeds through the streets and stops outside an old building, waiting. Reese is frustrated, accusing Wax. Wax retorts that Reese should start acting like a real agent. a waiter suddenly rushes out of the building. Wax drives after him. As they follow the waiter, Reese begins to question Wax's actions, doubting whether this is even an official operation.
As long as it's all official business, right?
Sensing this, Wax explains that he's in Paris investigating a drug ring loosely connected to the death of a young woman, the niece of the Secretary of Defense, who overdosed at a party.
The Secretary of Defense wants us to shut these guys down, right?
Whole operation, top to bottom.
They follow the man into a building and stop at the underground parking lot. As soon as Wax parks the car, a group of armed Asian gang members approaches. Reese hesitates, urging they should leave, but Wax doesn't flinch. Wax takes down the entire group in seconds, bodies collapsing around them. Reese freezes, stunned by the speed and force. With the exterior cleared, Wax and Reese push into the building. Wax tells Reese to stay on the ground floor and cover the rear. Moving silently, Wax heads upstairs. Moments later, Reese hears muffled gunfire, followed by two bodies tumbling down the stairs. As the gunfire stops, Reese cautiously follows. Together, they enter a large room. Inside, a Chinese family gathering is in progress. Children are performing on a small stage while adults watch. Keeping low, they slip up behind a Chinese man, press a gun into his back, and hand him a sheet of paper, demanding the name of the drug supplier.
You have 20 seconds or you won't have another chance.
The man glances at the children, then reluctantly scribbles down a name. No sooner have they left than reinforcements from the Chinese gang flood into the factory, surrounding them. Wax and Reese fall back into a workshop filled with life-sized sculptures. As the gang pours in, Wax opens fire from cover, dropping them one by one with precise shots. When the last man falls, Wax signals Reese to move. In the restroom, Reese speaks to his superior on the phone, complaining about Wax's unconventional methods and questioning whether this operation is even official.
This is all official business, right?
His superior, unfazed, expresses full confidence in Wax and tells Reese to follow his lead.
Just do exactly what Wax says.
As soon as Reese hangs up, he gets a call from his wife. Caroline asks where he is, but the battery dies mid-call, cutting him off. Wax walks in and announces they'll eat before tracking down the supplier. Along the way on the metro, Wax snorts some powder from the vase, offering some to Reese, claiming it might help them stay alive. Reese finds him reckless.
Maybe you could flip my license plates next time I come in town.
After a few cutting remarks from Wax, Reese reluctantly takes a small dose himself. After getting down from the metro, Wax changes his story.
It's never been about the coke.
Telling Reese the mission has nothing to do with the niece of the Secretary of Defense. Reese is thrown off again. Back in the car, he shouts in confusion, demanding answers. Wax loses patience and yells back,
What do you think this is about? It's about terrorists!
"It's not about contraband. They're after terrorists. The drugs are being used to launder money, funneled openly and unnoticed. Their real objective is to trace the money to a network of Pakistani terrorists." For the first time, Reese begins to realize the threat. Wax pulls up outside a brothel run by a Pakistani gang. To get inside, they need to pose as drugged-up clients looking for women. Reese negotiates with a pimp to get them in.
And you like to watch?
A woman leads them upstairs. Inside the elevator, Reese spots Caroline. He doesn't get a chance to say anything before the doors close. Reese begins to worry that Caroline might misinterpret what she saw. Wax brushes it off.
Yeah, well, maybe you should be asking her what she was doing in this part of town.
But Reese quickly covers for her, saying she's here to buy fabric to make clothes for him. Wax shrugs it off and kicks open a private room, clearing everyone out. Reese asks one of them for a charger. As he powers up his phone, he follows Wax's instructions to watch the bank across the street through the window, scanning for a specific Pakistani. While keeping his eyes on the building, he calls Caroline to explain.
What you saw was nothing like what it seemed.
Just after the call ends, Wax returns, followed closely by the pimp from earlier. They break in and attack Reese, knocking him down. Wax hangs back, holding off from stepping in, forcing Reese to harden up and fight back. At that moment, Wax spots the Pakistani withdrawing cash from the adjacent bank, stuffing it into a large carry bag. Without hesitation, Wax shoots both attackers and drags Reese out to continue the chase. Wax activates his satellite tracking watch to locate their target. They follow the signal to a terrorist hideout in a dilapidated apartment and pretend to be buyers looking for contraband.
My friend and I are looking to get beamed inside.
Inside, the gang member steps away to fetch the boss, Rashid. Suddenly, a group of armed kids surrounds them, demanding valuable things, including Reese's wedding ring. Rashid arrives, takes the ring, and slips it onto his own finger.
Looks better on me. Definitely.
He hands them a bag containing 5 grams of the powder. Wax tastes it and says he wants a kilo.
A kilo? You think this is Bogota?
Rashid grows suspicious and pulls a gun.
More than a kilo is 15 years in prison.
Which would be enough to convict Rashid. But Wax grabs him before he can react, tells Reese to smash the vase. Inside is 5 kilos of the contraband. Faced with such a large amount of drugs and not wanting to get involved in serious trouble, the gang scatter immediately. Reese punches Rashid and reclaims his wedding ring. Wax pins Rashid down and demands to know where the Pakistani is hiding. Rashid leads Wax and Reese above the Pakistani's room. As soon as the door opens, Wax bursts in. He sets up a spy camera and looks down into the room below, where a group of Pakistanis are getting ready to leave. Wax orders Reese to get down to the 10th floor.
Shoot anybody who comes through that door.
Wax ties off a rope and rappels straight into the terrorist's apartment. The moment he lands, he opens fire, taking out several targets instantly. The remaining scramble through a floor hatch and escape downward. Wax yells for Reese to intercept them and chases after them himself. Downstairs, Reese manages to stop one of the Pakistani at gunpoint and tells him to get down. The man mumbles incoherently, suddenly grabs Reese's gun and forces it into his own mouth, pulling the trigger. Wax arrives seconds later and asks how many got away. He rushes to the window and spots a car waiting below. Without hesitation, he starts calculating the time it would take for the remaining to reach the vehicle and set up a bomb. Just as the remaining 2 Pakistanis climb in the car, Wax tosses the bomb from the balcony. Before the police arrive, Wax urges Reese to help gather evidence. Reese stares at his blood-covered reflection in a mirror, trying to clean up and calm himself. He wants to leave, but Wax calls him into the next room. Inside, Reese sees an entire wall covered with photographs of himself. It's clear someone has been tracking him with meticulous planning. He questions Wax, who is just as confused.
Hey, I got nothing to do with this, Wax.
Well, that's not what the evidence tells us.
Reese insists he has nothing to do with this, but Wax tells him to move quickly. As they head out, Reese hears the police preparing to breach the apartment on the 10th floor, the one rigged with explosives.
The door's rigged, they'll be blown to pieces.
He tries to intervene, but Wax stops him.
You go out there, drag us into it, it's over.
The door opens, triggering a blast. Amid the chaos, they slip away with the panicked residents. They escape in a police car. Reese wants to go back for his belongings, worried the police might trace him through the fingerprints he left behind in the car. Wax knows there's no time. He throws the car in reverse and crashes it into the vehicle, triggering the bomb. The car explodes instantly, erasing all evidence. They finally get a moment to breathe. 2 CIA officers arrive, and Wax hands over the intelligence collected from the terrorists. Reese confesses he doesn't think he has the stomach to kill, that he may not be cut out for this work. But Wax is more than satisfied with his performance.
You don't need me, Wax.
Are you kidding? Tell me we're not a perfect match.
Later, Reese gets a message from Caroline inviting Wax to join them for dinner. At the apartment, Wax immediately starts flirting with Caroline's friend Nicole.
What do you do when you're not busy making men's jaws drop?
She complains that Wax shouldn't have taken Reese to a brothel. Just then, Wax gets a call. As he passes through the living room, the signal interference makes him suspicious. Later in the conversation, Wax learns that Nicole is Pakistani, which only deepens his doubts. During dinner, Nicole's phone rings. She answers, there is no one named Rose. Without hesitation, Wax shoots Nicole in the head and immediately turns his weapon on Caroline. Reese can't accept what just happened, but Wax forces him to face reality. When Reese discovers that the engagement ring Caroline gave him hides a tracking device, he falls into despair.
Why, Caroline?
Reese turns to Caroline, demanding answers. She keeps backing away, then suddenly pulls a hidden pistol from beneath the table and shoots Reese in the shoulder, then fires at Wax. She bolts to the balcony and disappears. Reese watches as Wax chases after her. Caroline leaps across rooftops and escapes into the street, where a green Volvo picks her up. Wax can't catch her, but memorizes the license plate and radios CIA headquarters for a satellite trace. The next day, they uncovered 17 microphones and 5 cameras. Wax tries to comfort him,
Hope you got some good moves on you, buddy boy, if it gets on YouTube.
then urges Reese to think rationally. Where would Caroline go? His phone buzzes. Wax signals the CIA to prepare for tracing. Caroline's claims she never meant to hurt him. Reese pleads for the truth. She admits she met someone 6 years ago who gave her life meaning.
And finally, for the first time in my life,
Everything made sense. I knew I had a purpose.
It's her indoctrination by a terrorist ideology that drives her to betray Reese as a sleeper agent. Pressed for more, Caroline hangs up. The call is too short for the CIA to triangulate her location. Moments later, Caroline arrives at a waiting car. Inside sits a man who gently caresses her face, rewarding her for completing her mission for the organization. Elsewhere, the CIA analyzes background noise from the call and pinpoints Caroline's location in Perry-Herrick. At the same time, Reese receives a call from Ambassador Bennington, summoning him to meet the arriving U.S. delegation for the African Aid Summit.
The American delegation just landed for the U.S. African Aid Summit.
Wax quickly connects Caroline and the green Volvo's driver.
Gonna hit the delegation. Who's driving?
He grabs a CIA officer and speeds toward the summit route. Meanwhile, the heavily guarded U.S. motorcade departs from the airport. Reese stays behind, still in the apartment, questioning how his home was bugged and how he became entangled in this operation. On the highway, Wax spots the green Volvo. He orders the CIA driver to pursue at full speed and identifies a man driving the vehicle with Caroline beside him. Back at the apartment, Reese searches through Caroline's belongings and finds sketches of a burqa identical to those worn by summit delegates. Reese then continues to uncover an orange burqa and a news article about the summit. At the same time, Wax discovers an AT-4 rocket launcher on board as Reese calls him.
She is not inside that car. She is entering the summit as a delegate.
Insisting that Caroline isn't in the Volvo. It's a decoy meant to draw attention. As Wax's vehicle closes in, he peers into the Volvo and sees a mannequin in the passenger seat. Wax redirects toward the car Caroline actually escapes in, while Reese rushes to the summit. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador receives intel of a possible attack, but refuses to alter the route. With no alternatives, Wax orders the CIA driver to accelerate up a nearby embankment.
Pass him up, get me on the bridge.
They stop on an overpass. Wax shoulders the rocket launcher, takes aim, and fires. The rocket strikes the approaching Volvo moments before it reaches the ambassador's car. At the summit venue, Reese arrives at the entrance and receives a call from Wax, warning him that Caroline is likely wearing a shock-activated vest. He'll need to shoot her in the head. But Reese insists he can reach her peacefully.
Talking ain't gonna do the job, man.
Okay, excuse me. You're gonna have to take that shot.
As he passes through the metal detector with his sidearm, alarms blare. Security tackles him, claiming his access card was already used by Ambassador Bennington's aide. Reese realizes Caroline must have used his credentials to sneak inside. Just as the guards are about to escort him out, Ambassador Bennington steps in. Reese urgently warns of an imminent suicide bombing inside the embassy. Bennington, initially skeptical due to lack of any intel, hesitates to cancel the summit.
I know the bomber, sir. She's my fiancée.
Bennington sees the gravity of the situation and authorizes Reese to enter and find Caroline before the delegates arrive. Pushing through the crowded halls filled with delegates in identical orange burqas, Reese raises his gun and begins clearing the area. He spots Caroline's shoes and points his weapon at her, ordering her to turn around.
Caroline! Don't move!
She reveals her face with an explosive vest strapped to her torso. Security teams raise their guns, but Reese holds them back.
Caroline, please, let me help you.
He tries to help her, but Caroline insists she doesn't need help.
I am at peace.
Reese pleads with her, speaks of love, of reason.
Nothing else in the world matters right now, Caroline, except I love you.
But as Caroline's hand moves toward the trigger, he has no choice. He shoots her in the head. Wax arrives just in time to catch her from behind as she collapses. He carefully removes and disables the explosive vest, neutralizing the threat. Reese, who once couldn't bring himself to kill, has just taken the life of the woman he loved. Outside, the U.S. ambassador complains about the summit delay from inside her vehicle. Wax approaches and calmly explains that there was a situation, but it's now under control, and invites her inside. The crisis is over. Later, on the airport tarmac, Reese sees Wax off, handing him a package of the cheese Wax likes. Impressed with Reese's performance, Wax offers him a full-time partnership.
I wouldn't be against your coming with me.
Reese says he needs to return to his apartment for something, but Wax already knows why. He hands Reese a photo of Reese and Caroline, telling him it's something to remember her by. Reese accepts the offer. They place their handguns on a nearby utility cart and sit to play a game of chess. Reese now carries a Desert Eagle. Wax grins and welcomes him as his partner.